Hey there, welcome to Concept Hunter. Today we're going to talk about uniform movement in the game Piksels. And it's not written with an X, it's written with a K and an S, which makes it cool and edgy. Or at least hopefully so. Let's press play. Alright, my first complaint about the game is the music and the sounds, which are 8-bit-ish, but they're very, very strong. And there's no way to mute them, or at least no way that I know of. So pressing M and just removing all of the sounds would be really nice. Just an option to have. Okay, that's just about that. And clearly I muted it so you could hear the sound of my voice instead. Alright, so what do you do in Piksels with a K and S and not with an X? You move around, first of all, with the arrow keys, which I love. I love moving around with the arrow keys. And you need to get the pixel, the lone pixel, currently level 1, into the goal. Difficult. Alright. Moving on. Great. So now we got these green pixels, and if I come close to them, I actually collect them on. And I don't move them uniformly. I move in a snake-like fashion. Alright? So there's actually a couple of different types of movements in the game depending on how the level actually starts up. And this is pretty interesting, and one of the contributing factors to what I really like about this game, where every level feels very fresh and very new because it sort of has this new type of mechanic and new type of mindset that you need to have in order to crack how to solve the level. So here it's just, yeah, standard snake-like. I'm just going to go into the goal and pretty much be done with it. Let's take a look at level 3. So far, there's no way for me to lose the levels, by the way. There's no ways for me to lose the level. So I have 2 pixels that move uniformly. Lost my mouth for a second there. And we can see that I actually have to just properly move them into their goal. And it's actually, if I go all the way, I did play this, not to completion, but I did play quite a lot of levels through. And we can see that if I actually go all the way to the edges of the left side, I'll actually be in sync properly and be able to move forward. So most of it so far was very easy and very kind of just conceptualizing, but now we need to think a little bit. This is the first level we actually have to think a little bit. So we're combining uniform movement alongside the snake-like movement that we had before, and what I kind of need to do here, according to the goal, is to have two units of 4, right? So I have to make sure that each one of my snakes only gets to just to exactly the correct size, and then I need to sync them. They're exactly 1 apart, so if I'll do this, should be fine. And then, yep, we're good. So this is kind of interesting and kind of nice. It takes a little bit to understand exactly how it moves. And here in level 5, I actually get finally things that kill me. And this is one of my additional complaints about the game. The fact that if I lose, I have to wait a very long amount of time in order to get back through. So I have to get, oh, it's level 5? Okay, it's level 5. Oh, you screwed up? By the way, it's level 5. It's level 5. And it takes 3 or 4 seconds for you to restart the level. I always say this. When you restart a level because you screwed up, that's the amount of time it should take. It should be almost instant. And the fact that it takes 3 whole seconds and it tells me the level number again, which is completely unnecessary, is really annoying. So please just shorten that time to very, very low. Below a second, alright? Snap. It needs to happen instantly so I could get back into the action. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of breeding frustration a little bit is that the later levels get a little bit complicated, and they have a lot of mechanics and you have to do intricate movements. And you don't always need 32 by 32 pixels, all right? This game is actually part of the Lowers Jam, all right? Lower Z Jam, that's the name. And the restriction there was make a game with a resolution of 32 by 32 or lower. And here, this is a game that it's 32. It has 32 pixels on 32 pixels. The thing is, you don't need 32 by 32 in some of the levels. And the lower it is, the less space I have to mess around with. And that's a really good thing. We actually see this in a lot of other games that have a specific resolution or pseudo resolution, in the sense that you only have, like, think about 9 squares. So you start by 3 by 3, and then later levels you go 4 by 4, 5 by 5, 6 by 6. As the difficulty ramps up, You could do the same for this game. There's no need to always beat 32 by 32, especially when there's so much movement required out of each level. You could just make the resolution a little bit less and make it a little bit more condensed if what the level's supposed to get you to do doesn't need 32 by 32. I mean, the pixels don't need to be that far apart. And it actually takes quite a long time. In this level, the sole thing that it does is introduce me to dying. So I actually just have to go around and not die. And since this is just the snake-like, I have to actually just go over to the green one, and then the green one. And you can probably hear me tap, 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 tap. You could actually hold, but it's still a lot of movements. And, you know, you could make this 16 by 16 and the level would still get its point across. Won't be easier or more difficult in any way. It'll just take less time. And if you can do that in a game where every level has its own concept and the point is to unlock and understand that concept and conquer it, then there's no need to just make things big because they need to be big. There's no reason for it. All right? And I think that's pretty much it. I'm gonna stop here. I'm not gonna continue forward. There's more and more concepts in this level specifically. You again have the frame in the middle, and you know the 3 pixels in the middle. Everything moves uniformly. You have to make a horizontal line, and then you have to make a vertical line. It's a little bit of a brain teaser. You have to move correctly, not screw up. If you screw up, you have to press R and restart it. Okay, which is completely intuitive to press R and restart because nobody told me, which works. It's completely fine. But again, it takes such a long time to restart, and because the level is so big, and it could be smaller, it's so big, it takes a very long time to move all the way across, and that's just breeds frustration, and actually made me stop playing after a while, even though I didn't finish it, or at least I don't know how many levels there are, but it just made me stop playing because I had to make so much effort from scratch every time that, you know, I just stopped playing. And that's really this game's only fault, because I love the progression, I love the different concepts, it's interesting, every level feels fresh, like I said before. Just make it smaller. If there's no need for 32 by 32, you can go smaller. It says so in the rules, according to what you wrote down in the description. And that's it. It's Piksels by Bonte Games. Really interesting stuff. Just working it a little bit and it'll be absolutely pixel perfect. I'm sorry. I wanted to make that stupid pun. I'm sorry. Yes. All right. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching Concept Hunter, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.